Yeah. Back again. Your boy BQ, your boy TW with the Cool Factor podcast. Heard.
I didn't even see you there. What? You here again?
Yeah, hey.
Crazy.
Yeah.
What are the odds? Look at us. Who would have thought?
All right, I'll take it from here. So, no, if you don't know what we're talking about, you're probably too young to understand that humor. But BQ and TW are back in the place to be. This is the Cool Factor podcast brought to you by the Impact Lounge. Thanks for tuning in. As always, we're going to talk a little Impact from this past week, some of the points that stood out to us. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Don Callis and not the bad way I usually talk about Don Callis, but Don Callis and then Chris Bay with some of the cross promotional stuff that we are seeing right now. So we're going to talk about that at the end. I'm going to give a couple shout outs, TW, here, if that's okay.
Let's do it.
We got a couple viewers, listeners, whatever you want to classify yourself as. The cool thing about, talking about wrestling and doing it on YouTube is that people from all over the world can listen, So I wanted to shout out Chasing Daylight. He let us know that he listens to us from Australia, so I think that's real cool.
That's dope, man. Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, I got a buddy who lives in Australia, a military buddy, got out and moved to Australia just on a whim. And then
chick on OnlyFans was in Australia.
What was that?
What? Nothing.
I heard OnlyFans. That's what I heard. And then shout out to the King. He's I hope these are both guys. I'm going to assume so. My YouTube analytics say that we have 99% male viewers and listeners. So I'm going to assume the King checking us out from England. So pretty cool. I love when people say, hey, we're checking you guys out from this country and everything. Real badass.
Man, thank y'all. Thank y'all. And tell a friend to tell a friend. You know what I mean? If you guys enjoying the show, pass along to somebody else, talk about it with your people. And also, feel free to drop questions down in those comments and we'll answer them on the show. You know what I mean? Give you guys a shout out. And, you want to talk trash, then you get dealt with up here too. You know what I'm saying?
Get served one time.
Do it any way you like it.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. So if you guys got questions, stuff you just want to get our general thoughts on, we'll kick off the show with that next week. So write whatever it is. You guys always leave really good comments on YouTube. So thank you very, very much for that. Before we get into the first topic, I like to drop this reminder to you guys every once in a while that when we knock something that Impact does, I always say if it's good, I'm going to say if it's good. If it's bad, I'm going to say it's bad. Just because we knock something, I think a lot of people tie that in with, negative. I mean, I get that all the time. For those of you who watch other sports, okay, we have said this before, TW is a Jets fan of the worst team in football. I'm a Chargers fan. They're damn near the worst team in football. I've dealt with the Clippers for how many years? I can't even count, about 25 years now of losing. Just because we have a favorite team, a favorite sports team, it doesn't mean we think they're the best team.
Right.
And it doesn't mean we're going to glorify every little thing that they do if they're out there losing. I'm not saying Impact is losing, but what I'm saying, passionate fans criticize because they think something can be better, can be done different. I'm part of Chargers Clippers groups on Facebook. People complain all day and it's out of passion. It's not out of negativity. It's about wanting your team to be that much better. So, sometimes I gotta put that out there because, I get that a lot. Like, where's the positivity? Like, if it's good, we're going to say it's good straight up. Like we trust us. We don't want to get on here just to trash the company. We got better stuff to do than that.
And another thing too, if you just become a fanboy, then like you lose your objectivity. Like I used to enjoy Sam Roberts' wrestling podcast, but I couldn't take it anymore. I honestly could not take it because he was just such an over-the-top fanboy of all things WWE. He would defend the worst things they would do on TV. And I mean, obviously he was angling to get a job there and it worked. Good for him. But it just, for me, that wasn't what I was looking for. Like, yes, I watch these shows to supplement my fandom. I mean, I listen to these shows to supplement my fandom, right? Like, but I don't know. I want to have like engaging thought, right? Like if something was terrible, don't get up here and tell me it was good, right? Now, listen, I can make you an argument for why the Claire Lynch thing was good TV. I totally can make that argument for you, but that's not the same thing as like trying to defend it and justify it and like all of that type of stuff. And that's not what we're going to do, because you totally would lose your credibility, and that's just not what we're here for. You know what I mean? Like if you want to listen to somebody that sounds crazy, there's plenty of people out there for that. You know what I mean? So like, if you want to have some, good, fun, intelligent discussion, we're fans just like you. We're fans too, but we're not. Listen, Impact, start cutting us some checks, and everything you do will be excellent on this show.
There we go. And as I just said, it just comes from a place of passion. That's all it is. Like I've been covering the company now since 2015, maybe 2016. And there are some complaints about YouTube, social media marketing that I'm still complaining about to this day. And I get more pissed as the years pass because there's no improvement in some areas. There is a lot of improvement in other areas. And, the other thing people love to knock me about is that I love the NWA, but NWA does everything that I've on record saying that I wanted to see from Impact. So yeah, of course I'm going to really like what they do, because I believe in that kind of marketing and social media marketing and things like that. So yeah, man, little bit of a rant there, but
it's okay. It's what we do.
Yeah, just throw that out there. So let's jump into this. The first topic, TW is going to talk here. I've already done an upload, and then Lewis did as well. And this was about the Rascals. So it's only fair for me to know TW's thoughts on the Rascals and that segment that they had.
All right, buckle up. So listen, here's the thing. It's one of those things where when Impact trends, it seems to, with the exception being Slammiversary this past year, Impact seems to only trend for the negative, right? Like what's a scandal or blah, 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 this or that, or somebody leaving. And honestly, this doesn't even qualify for any of that, but it's certainly not like a positive, right? So they announced on Impact that the Rascals were going to be leaving, and everybody's like, no, is this true? But when you look at the way they did it, it was just like, wait, so we got to leave Impact, right? And then Josh Matthews said it like over and over and over again. And if there's one thing that you should know about wrestling TV is they don't do subtlety, right? So when they want you to know something, they're going to tell you blatantly, deliberately, and repeatedly, right? And so they kept mentioning, oh, the Rascals' last match is next week, and they went to set up the match with them and Swan for next week. And it's not a bad thing, okay? Like, it's not a bad thing. Listen, what I'm totally guessing happened here is an opportunity came through the grapevine for the Rascals, and Impact Management told them, go get paid. You know why Impact Management told them to go get paid? Because Impact Management wasn't doing anything with them, right? Like you've heard BQ talk several times about how many shots are these guys going to get at the titles and lose. And just, how many times can you keep rolling these guys out there over and over to lose? And they didn't win, and they weren't going to win. But here's where this became annoying for Impact fans. It's this thing that I keep saying over and over and over again. Where's our guys, right? Where's the guys that we as Impact fans can get behind, that we can watch grow and develop, and we can feel like those are our guys and we watch them ascend to the top? If you're an AEW fan, you feel like MJF is your guy. You feel like you've been watching this guy develop and, become this blossoming star, and you're going to watch him, ascend to being a top guy in the pro wrestling business. Like if you're a WWE fan, it doesn't matter how many places people work, but you think everybody's your guy. You think AJ Styles is your guy. So I'm not even talking to you, but this, but if you're an Impact fan, there's really, I'm not saying that there's nobody, but who's the people that you look at and you want to look at, like an Impact developed homegrown talent? That's the word I was looking for, homegrown talent that is actually ascending through the ranks and becoming a top star. It just seems like they're almost, there almost is none. You know what I mean? Like, and if you do see somebody who appears to, you know, grow through the ranks and Impact, they're on the way out the door by the time they get to the top. And this just seems to be another case of that. And that's the thing where, as an Impact fan, you're like, what the F, man? What the F? Because where's our guys? Where's the guys we can say, you know, these are the guys why I watch Impact year in and year out, week in and week out, because I know these are our guys. These guys represent our show. They represent our brand. This is the style that we like when we watch our show. And, you know, again, no reasonable adult will fault another reasonable adult for going to get paid, okay? Because ain't nobody else going to put food on your table but you. That said, you know, it's just, this is more of a beef with Impact management than it is with the Rascals. It's just no beef with the Rascals at all. But like, if you're Impact management, like, again, where's our guys? Where's you building up the people that we can support and feel like these are Impact Wrestling guys? And this is just another case of that. It's just another case of that. It's the guys that Impact does grow at home, they don't love, they don't want. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. That's just, this to me. That's just what this whole situation comes off as. You know, to the Rascals, I'm sure I'll see you in NXT in a couple of weeks, and it'll be fun.
All right. So the first topic I want to talk about is out of my 3 topics, I got 2 not so good and 1 good. The first one I'm going to talk about is the Knockouts tag team titles, the tournament, the Knockouts in general. This tournament starts Tuesday. Now, this is their big marketing point for the year. This should be the what's supposed to draw the eyeballs for the rest of the year. You know, when they announced the tournament at the pay-per-view, I said, cool, because usually they spin their wheels through the rest of the year with programming. And I'm like, now, you know, you could actually have some really good knockout-centric shows. I'm not saying knockouts every match, but they could, you know, kind of be your focus. You can let the world title scene maybe breathe a little bit, whatever. So, you know, this was something I was really jazzed about. I've been asking for these titles for a really long time. So the tournament is coming up. It starts Tuesday. Do you think that they announced a bracket or the participants for this tournament at all? No, they haven't. It starts in 5 days, and we still have girls looking for tag team partners on screen. If we're supposed to pretend this is real for a little bit when we're watching wrestling, you would think that the women backstage already have come together and figure out what they're going to do because they want to win these titles. When they're, you know, it's a few days out, they don't know who they're partnering with. We don't even know who all the teams are. It doesn't really make it sound like these girls are really interested in winning these belts. So, you know, that's a little bit of an issue that I have. I used the term fuckery before. Some people don't like when I curse, but I'm in the military and that's what we do. So sorry, just going to have to deal with it. But I use the term fuckery with this tournament, and that's exactly where it's starting off. And I don't really like it. I called it last week. I said, I am willing to bet that Madison and Tenille don't get along in the match. And I love them as a team. They were perfect as a team. When Kayla with a K was taking pictures and Madison was posing too, like perfect. They work together. They fit, yeah. But they want to do this thing where she's going to team with Jordan Grace. Like I knew exactly what was going to happen. I felt it because when Alicia teamed with Jordan Grace, you know, Alicia, who we don't get much from, you know, she doesn't wrestle all that often. And all of a sudden she's got this attitude and everything with Jordan. That was just something we've never seen out of her character before. It seemed like really, really forced. And that told me that this was part of a bigger picture. And then when they announced Madison the next week, I knew exactly what they were going to do. And then now at Impact Plus, the two of them, Tenille and Jordan, are going to wrestle Taya and Rosemary of all people. This is a match that you would think would be the finals of this possible tournament. Now we definitely know it's not going to be the finals because they wouldn't give it to us right now. And I'm going on record and saying Tenille and Jordan, because they're doing this storyline, they're going to be in the finals of this thing and they're probably going to win it. But I highly doubt they're going to be eliminated early. I guess it's a possibility, but my gut really tells me that they're going to be in the finals. And now I already feel like I know what's coming a little bit. You know, the team of like Tasha and Kiera, that's really the best team in my opinion. They should be the ones who win this thing. I don't think that they're going to, because that's not what Impact does. They say, hey, you used to be in WWE and you, okay, whatever. Okay, let's put the belts on you. They're not, we talk about where's our guys, where's our girls. Like these are the girls that should really be the face of the Knockouts division, because they're doing such a tremendous job with everything that they've been given. And Kiera Hogan, her growth over the last several years has been amazing. Has she even sniffed the Knockouts title or a match for the title? Hell no. What the heck is up with that? But I think that the Knockouts tag team tournament is just off to a bad, I mean, the tournament hasn't started yet, but I think the whole thing is off to a really bad start. I knocked their last tournament they did, number one contender tournament. Ace Austin wins. What does that get him? That gets him an invitation to a 5-way match at Slammiversary, along with Eddie Edwards, who was the Call Your Shot Gauntlet winner. That got him
don't do me no favors.
Spot in the 5-way. Right. So, Trey got a shot in the 5-way because he was hurt, or he got taken out. Well, Ken Shamrock got taken out for that tournament too. Why did he get in the match? So, and then they had the nerve to have a contest on the website to guess the winners of the tournament, but 3 of the participants changed throughout the tournament. And then the guy who won it wasn't even one of the initial people. Right. So, I hated that tournament with passion. Just finished watching an AEW tournament that, what they call it. They had some little name for it, whatever. It was a number one contenders tournament. Anyone who watches wrestling knew that who was going to be in the finals, but they gave us the bracket right away, and people knew they had something to talk about. Is what my point was. With this, it's starting. We're not talking about it. It's not an important part of the show.
Like you said, there's not even a bracket yet.
Yeah, so they don't even have enough knockouts for 8 teams, which is a crazy thing. I think they have enough for 7. I have to believe Alicia and Madison are going to team up, but because of what happened, probably go out in the first round. But that's what I think they're going to do. They're going to do something like this past episode, right? Madison wrestled and then she got back in the booth, and then Alicia, they don't give her anything to do, so they'll probably go out right away. But I think they'll probably team up. But I think the tournament is off to a bad start. But I hope when the actual wrestling takes place and it improves, and I hope we know what the bracket is ahead of time instead of week by week being, okay, this is the match we're getting. Like, just give us the tournament.
That was a hot take, sizzling hot. Woo, cool that mic off, cool that microphone off. All right. So speaking of champions, my second point is about the X Division champion, the Mocha Skin Manimal, Rohit Raju. Listen, I loved watching Rohit have his match with TJP. I thought he was going to lose. They had a heated exchange last week. Cut really good promos on each other. And then they came back this week and did the last chance match for TJP, and TJP didn't win. Rohit got the pin. I said, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing this. So I love to see the credibility ticking up a little bit for Rohit. And listen, it doesn't have to be, some people would be like, oh no, but he won in like a sneaky way, roll up a heel style. That's okay. Okay, people. You're not supposed to clap and cheer for the heel and say, you know what, I got to give it up to you, man. That was a good victory. No, you're supposed to be like, damn that guy. If only it was a fair fight. If the ref was only looking, if he wasn't so sneaky, I can't wait to see somebody beat that guy. And that's what they're doing with Rohit. They're building this guy up nicely. Now, I just did a whole rant about how Impact does not seem to prominently feature guys that they're building. And damn it, nobody has put in more work to come up through Impact Wrestling than Rohit Raju, Hakeem Zayn, whatever you want to call him. This guy has been, working his way up, hanging on in Impact through, regime change after regime change, network change after network change. And now he's finally got his shot. And I would say he's capitalizing on it, damn it. He's doing something with it. Shout out to this guy. I love seeing Rohit get some shine.
And I'm going to add something to that real quick. Turning point is this weekend. My prediction is that Manic is the one who answers the challenge and most likely wins. So that's what I think is going to happen. We'll see. And then I got to give a shout out real quick, because I think that Turning Point has a better card than Bound for Glory. And I think the build has been better because they didn't overthink it. They just, you know, I just think they did a better job they've done a better job with the Moose and Willie Mack thing, because it ties into Rich Swann than they did half of the builds for anything else. So, no, bravo for that. Speaking of bravo, this is my next point here. Who shot?
That's a professional segue right there, baby.
That's
man. A professional segue.
Natural, just natural. Didn't think it up or anything like that. So, who shot Johnny Bravo? Now, I was a big fan of Wrestle House. I really, truly was. I thought for what it was funny, and I like everything Johnny Bravo does, and you know, I was into it. I was digging it. What I'm not digging is who shot Bravo. And the main reason I'm not is because I understand this is an extension of Wrestle House. This would have worked in the Wrestle House setting though. And the positive is that they're keeping some continuity going from Wrestle House. Okay, cool. Right. But this storyline would have worked better. I think on paper, it probably sounded better than how it's playing out on TV. In the Wrestle House setting, it could have worked. And those of us who watch Impact every week and understand what Wrestle House was, it could work. But what is Impact doing? They're posting this stuff all over social media. You know, who shot Bravo? It's fodder for the trolls. And the actual segments themselves. I say this every episode. The freaking background music they put behind stuff drives me insane. But at least it's quieter. At least it's not like overpowering like it was before. But this week they had, Tommy Dreamer doing a lie detector test. Apparently he's certified at that course and everything. So, good for him. Much props to that. But even though I didn't think the segments were that bad when he was talking with them, I mean, you're talking about murder here, like something serious, and it's a joke. You know what I mean? Like, who shot this guy? Like it's not something they really want to get to the bottom of, like in a serious manner. It's just all really, really jokey. But I think there's just too much comedy and Impact right now on screen. I'm not saying every segment is comedy, but there's quite a bit of comedy, and Josh's side of the commentary has a lot of comedy, and I use that word loosely, but it's a lot of comedy on his end. Bound for Glory between him and Dawn was a lot of bad jokes back and forth. I actually think Madison Rayne is funny, so I don't put her in that category. She actually makes me laugh with some of the stuff that she says.
That's what I was going to ask. Is it still comedy if it's not funny?
I'm not sure how to answer that question. I don't. Usually when I use the term comedy in wrestling, it means it's not funny.
Okay.
Because I wouldn't call Eli Drake comedy, you know what I mean? Because he's genuinely funny. So, but but just to go back to what I'm saying, I think this segment is I don't think fans are enjoying it. If you look at social media, if you look at the YouTube comments of any of our uploads, like, people don't like this. And I'm sure it's going to pay off to something, so I'm not completely just writing it off just now. Again, I understand it's an extension of Wrestle House, but those who don't watch Impact regularly and seeing clips of this online is like, what is this? Tommy Dreamer with his little detective outfit, I'm surprised he's not walking around with a magnifying glass and dusting for fingerprints.
I guarantee you he wanted to do that. He probably just couldn't find one.
Yeah, at least if he's doing this, he can't team up with Eddie against Ken Shamrock and Sami Callihan. So
just you wait.
Yeah, let me not say all that right now, but it's something that I don't think people like. I don't think they're enjoying this part of the show. I think people accepted Wrestle House for what it was, but now that this is going on the actual Impact programming, and we have wrestlers who are going back and forth between serious and comedy, like Havoc and Larry D and Taya, Rosemary, going back and forth between all this. It's just really odd. And I'm not particularly enjoying it. I don't hate it, but they need to do a lot less of it. And this kind of goes into also the Follow Boss stuff with the Money and Hernandez and this is bad. Like, now this is bad. Okay. I'm telling you, like with the Johnny Bravo stuff, I just don't really like it. I'm not saying it's the worst thing in the world. Like, this is bad. The positive is that Falaba is talking normal now. And that's going to help his character a lot going forward, because he didn't talk for a long time. And then he started talking with a kind of a fake accent, and it wasn't really working. But now he's just being himself. And I think that's going to be great for his character once he gets away from this. If he stole the money, why not leave it at home? Why not spend it? If it's that life-changing, whatever is in there, then do something with it. You know, when Hernandez eliminated himself from the tournament that he wrestled, I mean, the bound for the call your shot gauntlet, that he wrestled a 5-way in to win the coveted number 20 slot and then eliminates himself. Not only was that a bad look for the gauntlet, but it was just a bad look for that storyline, saying that's more important than winning the call your shot gauntlet and calling your shot for a title. It's more important, this very silly storyline that they're doing. Now that you're going to talk about Tasha Steelz and Kiera Hogan a little bit later, they're what they did this week with Falaba was funny. I'm going to give them that, but this storyline in general, I think is really one of the worst things I've ever seen. Not ever, but right now it's bad. So right now there's just too much comedy going on in the show, and it's I think killing the momentum of some of the other stuff going on and some of the other stars.
I feel you on that. And actually is going to bring me to my next point. So listen, I think I look at wrestling from the eyes of like a TV producer, and I think that you have to. There's more than one way to skin a cat, so to speak, right? Like, you can have a show where it's just like straightforward. We're going to give you sports style, yada, 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 yada. But I mean, pro wrestling is pro wrestling. And oftentimes it's more of to use a Vince McMahonism, a variety show, right? You're going to have a little something aggressive, a little something funny, a little something, dramatic, a little something, sexy, like they try to sprinkle a lot of things into the tossed salad that is a wrestling show. And so I think, with some of these comedy style segments, even when they're not funny, I think they're okay, because again, at the end of the day, in its most serious form, we're still talking about a show where we watch grown men put on tights and pretend to fight. You know what I'm saying? So like, we are, so there's only so much seriousness that you can have about pro wrestling. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you just got to have that, like, all right, wait a minute, So there's that. Part of the horrible Falaba Hernandez roll of 20s segment was probably a roll of 5s, given it. It's probably a roll of 1s. It's probably a roll of food stamps.
Yeah. Chuck E. Cheese tickets. Yeah.
But one good thing that has come out of this was the segment that you mentioned with Tasha Steelz and Kiera Hogan and Falaba. I thought that was hilarious. I thought it was really funny just watching them, kind of go to Hernandez and, talk junk to him and, and then kind of steal the money out of Falaba's pocket when he wasn't looking and try to stuff a roll of tape in there to take the place of it. And, it was just, I thought it was good character development for Hogan and Steelz. Like, Tasha Steelz is really funny. And, Kiera Hogan, never a bad thing when she's on your screen. But we're also, this has been kind of a theme of my points today, is Kiera Hogan is another Impact talent that we are watching develop. Like, we're watching her. You talked before about how, she's been here for a while, never gotten close to a title, but it seems like pairing her up with Tasha Steelz has allowed her more and more to kind of come out of her shell. Sometimes it just takes, that combination of having somebody to work with that can just allow you to be yourself more. Like, oh man, for those of you who watch WWE, like, I always remember there was something about when Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose were on the screen together. As much as Roman Reigns is an alpha, he was not when he was on the screen with Dean Ambrose. When Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose were on the screen together, it was Dean's segment. It just was. It just was. And so certain people just have certain chemistry where one person brings something special out of the other person. And I think that they found that with Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz. Same thing with Ethan Page, right? How long was Ethan Page middling around Impact until Josh Alexander got here? And now all of a sudden they're the North, and he has his niche as he's kind of the heater, right? And Josh Alexander is the monster, and it's been great for both of them. So I'm a big fan of the development we're seeing from Kiera Hogan. And obviously I want to see her continue to develop because, I think sky's the limit, man. She's got so much talent. She's not the biggest woman in the world, but, she's got a great look. She can move in the ring. And again, like the more the character develops, the more you're going to want to see her either get her ass kicked or win a title. And so I'm here for Steelz and Hogan. I love what they did this week. And that's my last point.
And I'm gonna piggyback on that. If you've seen Tasha Steelz in NWA, she wasn't near as charismatic. She was a baby face, as a matter of fact, and she actually stood out like a sore thumb and just didn't really fit what else was going on with the women's division there. Kiera Hogan has absolutely brought the best out of her, and the two of them, just even their ring entrance, they have amazing chemistry, which tells me that the winners of the Knockouts tag team are going to be the ones with the least amount of chemistry, and the ones with the most chemistry are probably going to lose. That's the way it's going to play out. Trust me.
You're going to pair up like Madison Rayne and Alicia, and they're going to make a run.
Just run through everybody. So the last thing I want to talk about, because I want to give a positive here. The first 2 points I have weren't the most positive. I am enjoying what they're doing with Sami Callihan right now. After, a lot of people that didn't think the loss to Tessa Blanchard, and I should say losses, because she was destroying OVE every week. People said, well, that doesn't hurt Sami Callihan. I don't think it hurt him, but after that world title run, which was strictly just to put the title on Tessa, it wasn't a reward to Sami for the amazing work he's been doing. I questioned if they were going to be able to get him back to that point. And then they almost seemed like they were turning him babyface for a little bit. So I was just like, dude, they're really not going to put the title back on him at this point. And now, even though Rich Swann clearly is going to feud with Moose here soon, probably in a couple months, but right now Moose is tying up with Willie Mack. So I kind of like the way that's all revolving around each other. It's all kind of connected, but it's not connected at the same time. So I like that a lot. That's good storytelling, good booking right there. That really is. But I really like where Sami right now, even though he's getting a title shot a little quicker than I'd like to see, because he'll most likely lose this weekend. I do like to see that he's kind of back in that main event picture. He threw us for a loop a little bit, doing the babyface thing, and it made coming together with Ken Shamrock a lot more interesting. And they're almost teasing a little faction here, which I'm not trying not to get my fingers crossed. I like factions, but I like good factions. I say that my favorite faction in wrestling is the Dark Order. They're not really a good faction, but
I would say Dark Order was the worst faction in wrestling until WWE came. I don't know if you've seen this Retribution shit that WWE did.
I haven't.
It's awful. It is awful.
I've heard it's bad.
But yes, they've given Dark Order a place up.
Oh, there we go. but I mean, I think a lot of fans are. I think a lot of fans like factions, and something I've always pointed out about factions, for the most part, is that it's usually a leader and then guys who are damn near jobbers. If you think about Sami with OVE, like the tag team OVE lost on a pretty regular basis.
Right.
Sami was the only one who kind of ever won. And you see that a lot of, gosh, I don't want to date I don't want to talk about WWE factions because I haven't watched them in so long. I can only tell you about like the Wyatts and stuff like that. But even that was to an extent, there's always like this like hierarchy and this tier where the rest of the factions way beneath the leader. And I always think that the best factions are ones where they're all equal threats or damn near.
Right. Yeah.
Like, so you watch NXT and you watch their UK product or whatever.
I do not.
I know that they have a team that with like Walter and
Yep, I've seen them. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I don't know shit about them. I'm not going to lie, but from what I've gathered on social media, that faction is pretty, as a whole, pretty formidable.
Okay.
I could be wrong. Someone could correct me on that because I'm going strictly off what I see on social media. But I feel like whoever wrestles from them has an equal chance of winning. There's not like a weak link. And again, I could be totally wrong, but I think that the best factions are when there really isn't a weak link. And it's you know, because you feel like they're really taking over everything. But so they're kind of teasing Sammy, Eric Young, Ken Shamrock, maybe Chris Bay. Like they tease something with that too. Chris Bay doesn't quite fit them, but doesn't mean it can't work. But if these guys really put some kind of foursome together, I'd be very interested in it. It would just be something very different, because I think right now when I'm watching Impact, I feel like every show is exactly the same.
Yeah.
I'm getting to the point I'm a little bit bored because I'm not getting enough variance from week to week. It just feels like the same. I just know we're going to get this opening match. You know, we're going to start with the last week on Impact and this long video segment. And then, you know, Josh saying, welcome, and 5 times knockout champion Madison Rayne. And then there's going to be a match, and then they're going to be talking with the background music that I love so much. And then they're going to do some comedy. Like, I know the format of the show.
Yeah.
So for me to get something like this, you know, a faction of like damn near main event caliber guys, or championship level guys, I would be really, really interested in seeing that. Now, the weird thing here, I talked about this on my YouTube upload earlier, is that now Swan kind of needs some help and kind of needs some partners.
Right.
The Rascals would have been perfect for this. It would have given them something to do besides losing these tag team matches all the time from doing the treehouse stuff. It would have given them like some main event level stuff to do. Now, several months ago, when Tessa Blanchard was getting her butt kicked by OVE in a segment, Tommy Dreamer ran out to save her. And I said, yo, they could have sent anybody out there to save her, and it would have elevated them immediately, because they would have been wrestling with the champ. And, you know, they could have grabbed, an X Division dude, thrown him out there. Say it was Daga for it. You know, he goes out there. All of a sudden, you elevate this dude. And this would have been perfect for the Rascals. I compare this to years ago. I remember John Cena needed some partners, and he enlisted Crime Time.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, that just the fact they're just standing next to him right now, like now they feel like a bigger deal than what they were previously.
Right.
So this would have been really good. I'm not comparing Swan to Cena in any way, but this would have been really good for the Rascals to do something other than the treehouse stuff and losing title matches. You got to give people different things to do, and this would have been perfect for them. So now most likely he's going to enlist Eddie Edwards. I'm willing to bet Tommy Dreamer comes along for the ride, and then Willie Mack. That's probably what it's going to be. But the last thing I want to say with this, my hope is that since Sammy's putting this little team together, my hope is that this is leading towards a lockdown event or lethal lockdown match, because they were going to have that show last year on Impact Plus. It got canceled. I was told they still want to do it. Anything that they canceled last year, they still want to find a way to do.
Right.
I'm hoping it leads to something like that. Like, that would be fun. That would be different. But whatever Sammy's doing right now, even though it's not very clear, I think they could do a little bit more with it to get people talking. But I still think they're doing a pretty good job with it. So anything you want to add to that before we kind of get on to our topic?
No. I'm good. That was you nailed it. That was good.
All right, cool. So the next thing we're going to talk about, this topic of the podcast, is that Don Callis showed up at AEW recently to do commentary for the Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page match. And then Chris Bay is going to be wrestling, Cold Day in Hell is going to be wrestling an Impact, and they're promoting him as an Impact talent, going to be wrestling in the New Japan Super J Cup. TJP is doing that as well, but he's not under contract with Impact, so they're not really pushing it like that. I mean, if I was Impact, I still would have promoted the damn thing on the show when TJP was wrestling, but neither here nor there. But we're starting to see something that we haven't been seeing in a while. You know, when Don Callis showed up on AEW the other day, they actually name dropped Impact, and you know, it said Impact EVP under his name. That's crazy because they haven't been, as long as I can remember, have not been acknowledged on another program. And then something I have said many times is that Impact was the one who wanted to start working with other companies, and there have been in the outside looking in the last year, while we've seen other companies working with each other. You know, we're seeing NWA working with AEW right now. Serena Deeb's an AEW talent. She's the NWA Women's Champion. So they actually had a title change between companies, and I think it's going to bode well for NWA when they able to, you know, resume their program. But this is just, I really didn't think anything like this was going to happen. When they announced Chris Bay for this thing, my first thing is like, they're not going to announce it. They're not going to acknowledge Impact.
Right.
So they are. So give me your general thoughts on whether Don Callis, Chris Bay, whatever.
Well, I thought it was interesting, the exact same thing that you said. You know, I didn't just think it was interesting that he was there. Actually, when I saw that he was there, my initial thought was, oh, are you trying to like weasel your way? Are you trying to like moonwalk out of Impact and into AEW? And then when I saw they listed him as Impact Wrestling EVP, I was like, oh, ho, ho, ho. And I was immediately reminded of when Serena Deeb was wrestling on AEW and how they kept reinforcing that branding. NWA World Women's Champion. Like, they were very specific about that branding of the world title. And I was like, man, like, this is the, you know, this is all the signs, all the fixings of a working relationship. And it was just so clear, right? That, you know, you clearly have, you know, some sort of agreement with NWA and AEW in order for them to be pushing your branding so hard. And so to see Don Callis, you know, on AEW calling a match, I think that was a great thing for Impact Wrestling. Like, you know, and so that actually leads me to another question. Oh, and by the way, Chris Bay, they're promoting hard of Chris Bay wrestling in the New Japan Super J Cup. Listen, that's a big deal. That is a big deal because so many wrestling fans, and I'm not a New Japan guy. Like, I've seen the product. I think it's cool. You know, like that marathon style wrestling. You know, I mean, I think it's certainly an impressive athletic feat, right? Like, that's, you know, undeniable. But I don't know, you know, like I said, I don't feel like I need to watch it. You know what I mean? Like, it's fine. It's fine.
Before you make your point, though, I would say I would have had Chris Bay, if you're going to talk about him being in the tournament on Impact, I would have had him actually win the match that we were watching. Maybe give Chris Bay a little bit of a run, give maybe a little momentum. I mean, it's not Impact's job to promote the tournament, but you also want to give a New Japan talent who's hot. You know what I mean? So,
right.
All right.
And so with all of that, I actually come up with a question for you, the viewer, listener. What I want to hear, what type of fantasies these potential working relationships for Impact Wrestling are creating in your mind. Tell me what's your dream scenarios that you envision with potential working relationships for Impact Wrestling and New Japan Pro Wrestling and for AEW. Like, you know, do you envision talent exchanges? Do you want to see matches happening on AEW? You know, things like that. I want to know what type of things you guys envision, because listen, it could be cool, it could be great. I think you know, when you start putting people's talent against one another, all the promoters want to protect their talent. So, you know, who wants to do the job, right? If you're in AEW, who wants to be the person that does the job to an Impact guy, you know? So, so yeah, I mean, I think it's very interesting. A lot of potential going forward. And I'm very interested and excited to see what they come up with. And I'm interested and excited to see what you come up with. Listener, I want to see you guys just drop your comments, you know, in the comment section below. Let us know, what do you want to see come out of these new potentially profitable, what's the word, whatever, these new working relationships for Impact Wrestling. I want to see what you guys, Are
you saying beneficial?
Yes, let's go. That's good. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Oh, vocab 1600. Yeah, man. I want to know what you guys are hoping to see from these potential relationships. And maybe that'll be what we review for our questions from the comment section next week.
Yeah. When AEW became a thing, I remember Ed Norholm saying, "Oh, I'm open to working with AEW. Like, I'm open to Jennifer Lopez coming over for dinner, but she's going to have to want to. She's going to have to get something out of it. You know, what Impact should hope is that AEW is open to working for them. I know people don't want to hear this, but AEW's product is a lot better than Impact's. I know people don't want to hear that. It is the cool product right now. There's a lot. There's some things that they do, like Cody Rhodes being Superman every week, and that I can't stand. I've talked about their tag team wrestling I don't really enjoy. And people used to knock TNA for gimmick matches. Like, these guys are doing gimmick matches every other week. Someone's going through a table from the top of a ladder or something like that. They just did that this week. Yeah. So this is a company they want to get involved with. New Japan is cool too. I'm again, like TW, I don't really watch it. I probably watched it for a period of 2 months of my life consistently, and then I just didn't really have time for it anymore. These are companies they want to be involved with because because
they're more popular.
Exactly. They just are. That's just what it is. TW told me before this podcast started, get it out of your mind that Impact's the number 2 company or the number 1. They're not. But they can be very very strong number 3 or something like that. We call this podcast the cool factor. It was actually based on Don Callis saying that Impact lacked a cool factor when they took over, and he was not wrong about that. Impact has been on their own island in their own bubble for a long time. This whole wrestling world is going on, and then they've just been here doing their thing with no connection to these companies. Wrestlers leave the company and oftentimes don't even, like, I listen to some podcasts sometimes, maybe them be on Jericho's podcast, and they will completely overlook someone's Impact part of their career. Yeah. I heard in Aaron Stevens' interview one time, they went through all of it WWE, and then they made it sound like he went to NWA straight from WWE. They completely ignored that. And I hear that on a lot of podcasts, and that's not always that way. They had like LAX talks very fondly about their Impact time. They have nothing bad to say about it. I just heard an interview with them the other day. They went through a whole thing about it. Eddie Kingston talks about it. We're seeing improvement, but again, Impact's been on this own island for a long time. And if the other companies are not acknowledging them, why are potential fans gonna care? That's always going to be like the island of misfit toys. I think Swaggle called it that the other day. That's why no one really, I shouldn't say no one, but when we're talking all the wrestling companies, people don't usually throw MLW in there. They're like, oh, ROH and NWA. Like, people forget because they're doing their own thing too. They're kind of, they remind me much of like the Destination America TNA that was just in front of almost nobody, just doing whatever in the dark, low budget shows. So it's in their best interest to do this. I want to ask you also what you thought of Don Callis' commentary during this match. I don't think I've ever said anything good about his commentary, but he sounded good here. We get this like goofy shit on Impact going back and forth between heel and babyface and everything. I think he's really like ruined Josh for the worse. Because Josh with the Pope was good. I mean, I hated that. I used to complain about Josh and the Pope because they actually were really good. Be careful what you wish for, I guess.
In a nutshell, that is like the history of Impact. Because I feel like with Impact Wrestling, you can look back. It's like you will be so meh about whatever's on Impact TV. And then a year or 2 years later, you look back and go, they had something going on. You know what I mean? Like, because when they were rolling out LAX week after week and the Lucha Brothers week after week, you're like, okay. But now you look back and you're like, man, that was a fun little era they were doing. Yeah. You know what I mean? If you look back to like 2016 or maybe 2017, whenever it was, when they had like Eli Drake and EC3 and looked like they were about to be something like potentially, Eli Drake and EC3 was going to be like one of those feuds where you're just seeing these guys elevate and feud all the way up to the main event. I was like, oh man, like it looked like they had something. And so that's just kind of what Impact is because as an Impact fan, you are constantly, enjoying this show under the specter of, are they going to break through to the next level and have other people like this show as much as I like it now? And this brings me back kind of to the point that you made that I was saying earlier, which is like, listen, if you're an Impact fan, just enjoy the show, man. Like, get this idea out of your head that something's going to happen and they're going to be packing out 10,000 seat arenas. It's not. It is not. I'm not a pessimist. If anything, I'm an optimist, right? But just enjoy the show for, like, what I mean? Don't watch Impact for the potential of what you think it can be. Just enjoy the show, man. Enjoy it, criticize it, love it, talk crap about it. You know what I mean? Give it props, whatever you want to do. But you gotta come to grips with the fact that, Don Callis and Scott D'Amore are not Vince McMahon. You know what I mean? They are not going to turn this product into the fun, cool thing. They're not. Like, it's a great, I really like Impact. I honestly, I don't know. I think probably fans, the fact that AEW Dynamite feels like a more must-see live show, that's probably the thing that puts it over the top compared to Impact for me. But as far as like a product, man, I like Impact. I like the way that, I like the use of skits and stories so heavily in their shows. I'm a big fan of that. They're not as reliant on like in-ring promos and that type of stuff. And I think Impact has a really good product. Like, I genuinely would tell that to anybody who's like a wrestling fan. Like, Impact Wrestling to me is a fun watch. It's enjoyable. Like, it doesn't take itself too seriously, and like, so I like their product, but it's a boutique niche thing. You know what I mean? Like, if you think of like, I can't even think of anything off the top of my head right now, but like, there's some subset of music that you and your friends love. You and your 3-4 friends love this particular subset of music, but it just never became a big thing. And that's okay, right? Because whatever that thing is, you still loved it. Like, that was still your jam, right? But and that's Impact Wrestling, man. That's Impact Wrestling. Is you just got to enjoy it for what it is and quit waiting for other people to like it, because they're not cool. I mean, they're like, AEW is the cool thing. You know what I mean? Like, flippy wrestling. That's what Impact Wrestling does plenty of flippy wrestling. I'm not excluding, I'm not absolving them of that at all. But I'm just saying, like, AEW is the cool thing. WWE got the most market share. It is what it is, man. Like, Impact, I'm not saying they're just there, but they're,
I think I really think they still have to. I don't think they know who their target audience is, which is like a number one rule of marketing. I don't think they know who that person is. Or it's an outdated model, if anything. But it's weird. My son is, I guess, almost 12. He's watched wrestling with me since he was very little. And he's sat down and watched some AEW here and there, and he watched WWE with me. He watched NXT with me when I used to watch that. He has always liked Impact. Like, it didn't, he just did, when it was, the closing days of TNA, that's always the one he liked the most. And he had no horse in the race.
Yeah.
I even remember when I moved here from Florida. Yes, I'm the only person in the history to voluntarily move from Florida. I remember I was living with my ex-girlfriend's we were living with their parents for a little bit until we found a place. And I put TNA on one day, and her father's always knocked me for watching wrestling. That fake wrestling, one of those dudes. And over the years when I would visit them, I was still watching WWE at the time. I was watching WWE. He's like, oh, it's crap, And I actually threw TNA on one day. So let's see, I moved here in 2016 or 17, something like that. he was like, this actually, I like this better than other WWE crap. Again, someone who didn't have a horse in the race.
Yeah.
And it was just like,
Right.
I'm into this more. He goes, they looks more like they're, I guess he picked up on this, the pageantry that was WWE, the just silliness and didn't feel real watching it or whatever. So, I think if someone really just watched the Impact product for what it was, for what it is, I think they would like it. But I just don't think they know who their niche audience is. You can look at any wrestling company and that they know who their niche audience is just by the way their show is delivered. And I think Impact still struggles. I could be wrong. They might be sitting in meetings right now and they know exactly who the audience is. I don't get that vibe from watching it. I feel like they're
and when you say that, like, know who the audience is, I don't even think of specifically like a demographic. I think of just knowing what your audience likes to see, right now, like, clearly, Chris Jericho gets all the numbers every week and he knows exactly who's watching AEW and when and at what times. But but I think that's just more about, again, just knowing what your audience likes to see. And I think, listen, you want to talk about not knowing your audience, WWE, boy, like WWE has been hemorrhaging viewers. I have not sat in front of my TV and watched a WWE show without the ability to fast forward it outside of a pay-per-view. I have not sat in front of my TV and watched the WWE show without the ability to fast forward it in probably 2 years. You know what I mean? Because I just can't. Like, the shows, like, I honestly don't even know why I still watch it. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I don't know. It's almost like I have like this weird like FOMO of like, I'm gonna turn my head and it's gonna get good again.
You're a glutton for punishment.
Yeah, no, I'm a Jets fan.
Yeah, exactly. I feel you there, dude. So this is something I used to say, was that when so I know when I stopped watching WWE, I remember the exact point. I was watching the pay-per-view that had Jericho versus Ambrose in the steel cage, and it was a knockoff of Lethal Lockdown. Mm-hmm. It had like the potted plant in there, and it was a joke. I remember that pay-per-view. I said, this is their last chance to keep me as a viewer. Mm-hmm. I respect my time more than this. And this, I just wasn't enjoying it anymore. And so I was able to pull myself away. Right. I see a lot of people who were unable to pull themselves away because it was the only live show. They have the budget and the means to put on the best wrestling show in the world if they wanted to. Right. And everyone keeps thinking, oh, maybe this person's going to debut and maybe this is going to happen. That stuff never happens. Never. Right. I blame guys like Nick Hausman, who it was much like Sam Roberts, where he would praise everything that they did. Right. And he would fantasy book this ridiculous shit on his podcast that people thought was going to happen. Like I always talk about, he had people thinking that a Balor Club was going to show up. And I'm like, it's a shirt. It's a shirt. It's not a faction. It's not going to be a faction. It's a shirt. Yeah. And people were like getting, oh, maybe this is the week the Balor Club show. What? So I think a lot of people for a long time were just like, dude, this is just a live product and we don't know what to expect. And now they have competition doing a live product who really is doing, I would say, at least an episode a month. So has some kind of like boom moment like that no one saw coming, or some kind of debut or something. They do something. They find a way to get people talking. So now, WWE has that competition. This is hurting Impact because even though they only tape like a few episodes at a time, it's not like 3 months like they used to do. It's still hurting. Like the fact that they just can't make those weekly adjustments. Right. I think it hurts them. But to go back to my question earlier, what did you think of Don Callis on commentary for them?
Oh man, yeah. Oh God, I got way off. So I pirated the AEW pay-per-view. Somebody posted it on YouTube, and I watched it. But I'm not a commentary guy. I didn't even notice Don Callis on commentary. Like, I'm not someone who, unless the commentary is like jarringly bad or the person has like a horrible voice that stands out in not a good way, I'm not gonna really notice the commentary, and that's kind of the way it should be, I feel. I mean, like you'll there's things that you'll notice, right? Like in his heyday, some of the stuff you would get from Jim Ross was just like, unbelievable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like the in-match commentary to me doesn't stand out unless it's really terrible or exceptionally good. So I tend to not even notice.
I think I noticed because I'm a little older. I vividly remember, the Gorilla Monsoons. I'm not saying that, a lot of the listeners of the podcast didn't hear him or didn't watch pay-per-views later. But I mean, I was a kid,
right.
5th, 6th, 7th grade listening to, great commentary. And I just grew up liking commentary, valuing commentary.
Right.
But, to give Don Callis, to not be negative on him for once in my life, he sounded really good on the AEW. I think he did blend in, which again, like when I watch Impact shows and him and Scott Scott, Jesus Christ, Josh and Don, I keep throwing Scott in there, who wasn't on TV this week, thank God. I like their commentary to me is just like, it's nails on the chalkboard. It's like, it drives me nuts. Like I just keep hearing shit that pisses me off. But when he on the AEW show, he was really fading in, and he was complimentary to the other announcers, and I thought he did a wonderful job, and it shows that the ability is there. When he was doing the New Japan stuff, I never heard him in New Japan, but people always said how good he was doing commentary there. And then I even thought when he showed up at Impact at first, he sounded pretty good. And then the Slammiversary pay-per-view, the one that had like Sammy versus Pentagon, that was like amazing pay-per-view that they did. I remember the commentary being so good for that pay-per-view. And then I was like, oh, they're going to kind of phone it in during the shows. And then when the pay-per-view comes, they're going to turn it on and give us that. And for the most part, they have done that. Bound for Glory, they did not. That felt like an episode of Impact from top to bottom. They didn't even have an apron around the ring that said Bound for Glory. Maybe they did. I didn't notice it. But I thought he sounded really good on that. And it shows like the capability is there.
Right. I
just think maybe you just got to, switch up the play-by-play. Maybe they're just, wrong for each other.
Yeah. I think that, I think what you're saying about Don Callis kind of reinforces a question that I've had for a long time, which is, do the Impact Wrestling EVPs even like Impact Wrestling? Like, is this a product that they would watch? Is this a product they would recommend to their friends? Is this something they would go pull money out of their pocket and pay for a seat at? I think that's a very fair question, because if you can go to AEW and be excited about, Kenny Omega, then you should be able to be excited about Ace Austin. You know what I mean? Like, and especially being that you're the booker or highly in charge, you should have some sort of control over that, So I don't know, man. I don't know. I think, I guess Callis can be great when he wants to be, because tons of people have praised him so much. But, I've never, like I said, I've never been like, oh my God, this guy's so amazing on commentary, Again, some people stand out to you if they're exceptional, like Mauro Ranallo, when he calls NXT, he's so good.
I watched him when I watched New Japan for a little bit, he was doing it.
Yeah. So some people really stand out if they're exceptional. And I haven't gotten that from Don Callis yet.
There was a guy, I bring him up every so often here. There was a guy who did NXT before Tom Phillips or whatever the hell his name is took over. He had like glasses. I don't remember his name. I know they fired him, and I was like, dude, I loved his commentary. Like, and he never found work again. I can't remember this guy's name for the life of me, but kind of like nerdy little guy with black hair and glasses. But I thought he was amazing. And it's crazy to me that they have Matt Stryker on payroll because, dude, he's so good.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, but he did the pre-show for Bound for Glory.
Uh-huh.
It was a breath of fresh air. It was just something.
You'll see different. Him every now and then when they do like a backstage.
Yeah, just I brought this up before. He was doing the reality show.
Yeah.
Where I was like really cheering for him to win. Like the winner was gonna have a baby with the girl. Oh. And he became a dick on the show. Like he didn't want to participate in the challenges and stuff like that. I was like, oh, come on, Matt.
Dick. We got to see he was a dick.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I met him once in the airport. I've told this story a few times that I was picking up a troop who was coming back from a deployment. And I was just waiting for her to get off the plane, and all of a sudden Matt Stryker walks up, and I was like, "Oh, can I shake your hand?" And I was in uniform, so like, "Oh, I want to shake your hand." And we had a cool moment. I got a picture with him. So he was a nice guy. He's a big hip hop fan. Like,
oh yeah,
I mean like hip hop, not the shit out now. Like he knows his hip hop. Like, but yeah, all the old school stuff. So, but I hope that he steps forward one day. But I think we're rabbit trailing a little bit. Probably my fault. But we're kind of talking about just to bring this home a little bit real quick. We're talking about Chris Bay doing the New Japan stuff, Don mixing with it, and this is just something we haven't seen anything like this before in our our times as a fan. So our fingers are crossed that it leads to something. Even if it's a little bit of a talent exchange here and there, I don't think AEW benefits a whole lot from working with Impact other than trying to put on a diverse show and trying to be the anti-establishment, like anti-WWE program to where like, hey, we're all working together. I can see they have the power to do all that. So, if that's what they're trying to do, I think that will be beneficial for Impact because we need wrestling fans who are still holding the TNA stuff against them to say, okay, maybe this product's a little cooler than I thought it was.
Yeah.
That's why I think the Impact Plus, AJ Styles shit. They talked about AJ Styles on this show, dude, of this episode of Impact. I'm like, dude, AJ Styles wants nothing to do with Impact Wrestling.
No, he doesn't.
You know what I mean? Like it's talking about that ex-girlfriend who got over you and like moved on. And is with someone way more, handsome and successful than you were, but you're just still like holding, I used to, I used to bang this chick. Like, they really hold their, hang their hat on the AJ stuff. And if you're trying to appeal to a new audience, like you can't keep reminding them of TNA stuff. And I think it's also a bad look because the lighting is so much better on these flashbacks and the crowd is so much more engaged.
Oh my God. Yo, that was the first thing I noticed from the beginning when they would show these flashbacks from way back. I'm like, yo, look how full the audience was. Look how lively and into the show they were. I'm like, yo, this is not a good look for you. Why are you showing us this?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's like WWE every week talking about Steamboat versus Macho Man WrestleMania 3. Like they don't want you to remember that.
Right.
So, yeah, man, working with these companies and just in the eyes of the wrestling fans who have written off Impact, like they got to be like, okay, well, maybe I will check it out. I think some people did come back for the Slammiversary stuff.
Yeah,
I think Slammiversary overpromised a little bit for what we were going to see as far as debuts.
Totally.
So it kind of underdelivered, unfortunately. And something I wanted to say here real quick: we give Impact kind of gets a pass for Slammiversary and all the buzz and everything that we're doing. That's something that fell into their laps. They just so happened to pick up the ball and run with it and do a good job, but. That wasn't something that they planned or something that, we're going to, so I want to see them now plan something and say, okay, let's create some buzz with something. I thought this knockouts thing was going to do it. It's not right now though. So, but I don't know. We'd love to see some working relationships, because Impact does have some guys that if they showed up on another show, Ace Austin showed up on another show.
Yeah. Totally. If Ace Austin and Madman Fulton showed up on AEW, be like, oh, what is this? Right? Like, I think that type of stuff would be like really cool. Or send the North out there, right? Send the North out there. Like, just like you had Serena Deeb go out there, have the North go out there and do a tag team match, and put some of your best foot forward.
Yeah, because unfortunately, I don't know if the North will ultimately get the respect they deserve unless they leave Impact, and that's what I don't want that to be the case. I'm not saying that's what I want, but I think I brought this up last time we podcasted that LAX didn't get that love until they left.
Right.
People used to, when Impact used to post, this is one of the best tag teams in the world, but they'd be getting laughing emojis and
they're
LOL.
Featured a lot less now than they were in Impact.
Oh yeah. I mean, Impact delivered them a lot better. Don't get me wrong. The presentation of them on AEW was awful.
Right.
It's better. It's improved right now. There was a little while where like Ortiz was this like crazy guy. Like he used to bite his tongue and do something weird. Like, dude, I hated that with passion, but they're finding their groove a little bit more. So, I think that's going to do it for us tonight though. You got anything else you want to add?
No. I think I'm ready. I'm ready to tap. But everybody, make sure you get those questions and comments in. Top of the show next week, we're going to be responding to your comments. We're going to make this a little more interactive and let you guys be a part of the show.
Hell yeah. Looking forward to that. So I know we'll get some good questions from y'all. So that'll do it for us this week with the Cool Factor podcast. If it's your first time, subscribe wherever you're listening to us at. And for now, we are out. Peace.